Okay, so you guys are fired up about this one.
Oh, yeah.
The Farmer First Fuel Incentives Act.
Yep.
This is H.R.9787.
That's the one.
And, we love to take these bills that you're curious about and kind of break them down.
Absolutely.
So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
This one is all about kind of shaking things up in the fuel industry.
Yeah, you got it.
And, looking at how it impacts clean fuels.
Right.
But also American farmers.
A really interesting combination. Kind of a two-pronged approach.
So we're going to break down these two main parts of this thing.
Okay.
We're going to look at this prohibition on foreign feedstocks for clean fuel production credits.
Okay.
Which is a mouthful.
It is.
And then we're also going to look at the extension of the clean fuel production credit.
Sounds good.
So let's talk about this. This idea of American-grown feedstocks.
Yeah.
Like, what is the thought process behind that?
Well, I think there's a couple angles here. One angle is kind of like a protectionist economic angle, trying to promote American industries.
Okay.
And American jobs.
Right.
And American businesses.
Gotcha.
By making sure that the feedstocks are being sourced domestically.
Right.
We've seen this kind of thing before.
Oh, yeah.
In different sectors, right?
Right.
With tariffs and things like that.
Makes sense.
The other angle is kind of a national security angle.
Okay.
There's definitely a concern about being reliant on foreign energy sources.
That's always a concern.
It always has been.
Yeah.
If you look back at American history, you can find examples of this going back decades and decades.
Yeah, and that's a bipartisan concern, too.
Oh, absolutely.
That's not a left or right thing.
Yeah, you're right. It's something that both sides of the aisle have talked about for a long time.
Absolutely.
And then there's the environmental angle, which is that, if we're promoting domestically sourced feedstocks,
right,
then at least in theory, those are subject to U.S. environmental regulations and oversight.
Okay.
Whereas, if we're importing feedstocks from other countries,
right,
we don't necessarily know what environmental standards.
Right. They're being held to.
Yeah, they're being held to.
Okay.
So there's kind of that angle as well.
That makes sense.
So it's kind of this three-pronged approach, Yeah. We want to help American farmers. We want to reduce our reliance on foreign energy. And we want to promote environmentally sound practices.
Yeah. And it sounds like they're trying to thread the needle between a lot of competing interests here.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is an amendment to the Internal Revenue Code of 1986.
Right.
Like, what does that mean?
So this is in Section 2 of the bill.
Okay.
And basically, it takes the existing clean fuel production credit, which is this tax incentive that's designed to encourage companies to produce, cleaner fuels.
Right.
And it adds a requirement to it.
Okay.
So now to be eligible for this tax credit, the fuel has to be derived from feedstocks that were produced or grown in the U.S.
In the United States.
In the United States.
Got it.
So it kind of adds this extra layer on top.
Okay, so that's a pretty big change.
Yeah, it's a pretty significant change.
Yeah, for fuel producers.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, if they're used to sourcing their stuff from overseas.
Right.
And now all of a sudden they have to get it from, American farmers.
Right.
Like, how's that gonna shake out?
Well, it's hard to say for sure how it's going to shake out.
Yeah.
But, one possibility is that we'll see a surge in demand for specific types of feedstocks.
Okay.
Like corn for ethanol or soybeans for biodiesel.
Right.
And that could be a good thing for farmers. It could mean higher prices for their crops.
Right, a higher demand.
Yeah, exactly.
Supply and demand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, it also depends on what specific feedstocks become favored for cleaner fuel production. Right. Like, are we going to see increased investment in crops like switchgrass or algae, which are considered to be, more sustainable feedstock options?
Interesting.
Or are we just going to see more corn and more soybeans?
Yeah, so it could influence what becomes dominant in the market.
It really could.
Interesting.
It could have a big impact on the future of agriculture.
It's not just about where it's coming from, right? It's also about how long this is going to be in place.
Right.
Because this bill extends the clean fuel production credit.
Yes.
All the way to December 31st, 2034.
Yeah. That's a long time.
That's like a decade.
Over a decade, yeah.
So that seems like a pretty clear message.
It does.
About long-term commitment.
Yeah, it's definitely a signal to investors. And innovators in the clean fuels sector, it's saying, hey, this is something we're serious about. This is something we're committed to for the long haul.
Right.
So, put your money where your mouth is.
Invest in it.
Invest in this.
Right.
Develop these technologies.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be supporting it.
Yeah.
For the foreseeable future.
And that's important, right?
It is.
Because if you're a company that's like thinking about, sinking millions, maybe billions of dollars into developing some new technology, you want to know that there's going to be a market for it.
Absolutely.
You want to know that the government's not going to pull the rug out from under you.
You got to have that certainty.
Yeah, you need that certainty.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, this extension is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It could really accelerate the transition to cleaner fuels.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot of potential benefits here.
Yeah, there are.
We've got, American farmers who could benefit.
Right.
You've got the clean fuel sector that could benefit.
Yeah.
We're reducing our reliance on foreign energy.
That's right.
So it seems like, kind of a win-win.
Yeah, potentially.
Potentially.
But, there are also potential downsides.
Of course, yeah, nothing's perfect.
There's no such thing as a free lunch, right?
Right.
So one concern is that if the domestic supply of feedstocks can't keep up with the increased demand,
okay,
we could see fuel prices go up.
Okay.
Right.
Right. Classic supply and demand.
Yeah, exactly.
If there's not enough of something and people want it, the price goes up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a concern.
Okay.
And then there's also the risk of becoming too reliant on a limited set of feedstocks.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Right.
Like, what if we just go all in on corn and soybeans?
Right. So it could stifle innovation.
It could.
In other areas.
Exactly.
Like algae or whatever.
Exactly. We could miss out on some other promising clean fuel technologies, because we're so focused on these 2 or 3 crops.
So it's a balancing act.
It is.
So, overall.
Yeah.
What's your take on this?
I think it's a bold move.
Okay.
To try to intertwine agricultural policy and energy policy so closely.
Yeah.
But, if it works as intended, it could be really transformative.
Okay.
We could see a future where American farmers are playing the central role in a more sustainable and domestically powered energy system.
Wow.
That's the vision, right?
That's the vision.
So we'll see if it plays out that way.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
All right. So let's recap for everybody listening.
Okay.
So this Farmer First Fuel Incentives Act.
Yeah.
It aims to prioritize these American-grown feedstocks.
Right.
For clean fuel production.
Yep.
And it extends the clean fuel production credit to 2034. So as we talked about, this has the potential to be really empowering for American farmers.
Yeah, for sure.
It could really stimulate that clean fuel sector.
Absolutely.
And it could reduce our reliance on foreign energy.
Big time.
But, it does raise questions.
It does.
About potential cost increases.
Right.
And that need for diverse fuel technology.
We got to make sure we don't put all our eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now I want to leave you with this.
Okay.
How might this act influence the global landscape of clean fuel production?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah. So think about that.
Yeah.
Is this going to inspire other countries to do the same thing?
Yeah.
Or is it going to lead to new trade dynamics?
Yeah, who knows?
And competition.
Lots to think about.
There's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
We hope this deep dive gave you a better understanding of this act.
Absolutely.
And its potential impact.
It's a fascinating piece of legislation.
It is.
For sure.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.